All right, folks, we're going to talk about this. This is just nutty, absolutely nutty. For more, let's bring in New York Congressman Claudia Tenney, and we bring in Leo Terrell, civil rights attorney, Fox News contributor. To both of you, look, I'm going to play a sound that is actually remarkably accurate that Biden said today, but he won't act on it. Please take a listen to this.
Protest is not protected. Peaceful protest is. It's against the law when violence occurs. Destroying property is not a peaceful protest. It's against the law. Vandalism, trespassing, breaking windows, shutting down campuses, forcing the cancellation of classes and graduations. None of this is a peaceful protest. Threatening people, intimidating people, instilling fear in people is not a peaceful protest. It's against the law.
I mean, that's just absolutely incredible to me. Can I just walk through that again? I mean, he got this right, every word. Violence, destroying property, vandalism, trespassing, breaking windows, shutting down campuses, canceling classes and graduations, threatening and intimidating people, instilling fear in people, protests, it's against the law. Of course it's against the law. Leo, it's against the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and particularly its Title VI. Biden just spelled out every reason why they should be mobilizing the Justice Department to come in heavy against these colleges and universities, and maybe the students, but cut off their funding. This is right, what he said, but he doesn't even realize what he's saying.
You're absolutely right. You and I had discussed this yesterday.
Yeah.
You know what? It is amazing that there is no federal action. Larry, Congresswoman, where's the federal arrest charges? Where's the FBI? Where are the federal marshals to protect Jewish students? President Biden, 4-minute speech, did nothing to assure Jewish Americans that they are going to be protected under the Civil Rights Act of 1964. And guess what? What happened last night at the school that I went to law school at, UCLA, is a perfect example. Jewish Americans are being terrorized. I want everyone to understand there are federal tools right now to stop this. Joe Biden will do it because he's beholden to the far left. 6 months in a Trump administration, I'm not asking for a job. You give me 6 months in there, we cut off the federal funding to these universities. We start conducting hate crime investigations. We start conducting depositions of these college presidents that are allowing hate crimes towards Jewish Americans. Jewish Americans, there's relief coming. It's going to happen in November 2024 when Trump gets elected.
Well, Claudia is probably going to be the attorney general. We're all going to be working for her as this thing plays itself out.
I like to work for her.
But the point is here, Claudia, I mean, he gives this mealy-mouthed both sides statement, both sides. Would you tell me, did you see Islamophobic demonstrations anywhere on any of these campuses, or did you see anti-Semitic demonstrations? And then you go through the laundry list. Biden had it in his own speech. Property, vandalism, trespassing, breaking windows, shutting down campuses, intimidating people, not letting them graduate. He got that paragraph right. Now the question is, why doesn't he act on it?
Well, that's exactly right. Leo's right. I'd love to have you work with me and be the attorney general. It'd be great, because right now I would send in the marshals. I would send in every person that we could find to make sure that we crack down on these violations of federal law. I mean, look, thank God we finally got the New York PD to come into Columbia. We've gotten the local police and the state police to go in other areas. But where's our federal government? Where's Merrick Garland charging these people who are in direct violation? And on the Ways and Means Committee, by the way, Larry, we know all of this is foreign money coming in, being laundered through these, end runs around our laws for the IRS.
Claudia,
go ahead.
Could you just hang with me? Trump has walked out. I just want to pick up some of his sound, okay? We'll be right back to you, I promise.
Never been done before in our country, and I should be out campaigning right now, and I want to be out campaigning like I was yesterday. We finally had a break, and I was out campaigning yesterday. Very unfair. There's never been anything like this in the history of our country, never. So we're doing well. The polls are extremely good despite that. The polls are extremely good, the best we've ever had, and it looks like we're doing very well. Any question?
Would you debate RFK Jr.?
RFK, I don't know anything about him. Look, RFK is polling very low. He's not a serious candidate. They say he hurts Biden. I don't know who he hurts. He might hurt me. I don't know. But he has very low numbers, certainly not numbers that he can debate with. And he's got to get his numbers up a lot higher before he's credible. But the numbers that he's taken away, they say will be against Biden. I don't know. I'm not so sure. It could be a little bit against me. But I don't see him as a factor.
Who's your favorite right now?
My favorite for what?
Vice President.
Oh, who's my favorite for vice president? Well, I'll be making that determination sometime prior to the convention.
What do you think about the candidates testimony?
Well, I'm not allowed to testify. I'm under a gag order, I guess. Right? I can't even testify on that. No, we're going to be appealing the gag order. I'd love to answer that question. It's a very easy question, the easiest question so far. But I'm not allowed to testify because this judge, who's totally conflicted, has me under an unconstitutional gag order. Nobody's ever had that before. And we don't like it, and it's not fair. Other people are allowed to do whatever they want to us, and I'm not allowed as a presidential candidate, the leading candidate, the Republican Party nominee, and the one who's leading Biden by a lot, I'm not allowed to talk. There's never been any abuse like this before. This conflicted judge ought to get out of this case. He should not be having this case. He gives us nothing. It's such a rigged court. So I'm not allowed to testify because of an unconstitutional gag order. We're appealing the gag order, and let's see what happens. Thank you very much.
Let's go back. We head back to Claudia Tenney and Leo Terrell. Claudia, heaven forbid I did never interrupt you, and you were going strong about sending the marshals in, which sounded like an awfully good idea to me. Please continue that thought. I want to come back to Trump and the gag order. But this thing, I mean, you have here, just to review the bidding for a second. It's to me, I do not understand. Biden gives this wussy speech, the both sides now speech, I call it, okay? I think there was a song about that a million years ago when we were kids. But he does outline all of the things that have broken the law by the protesters, an anti-Semitic aimed at Jewish kids and stopping Jewish kids and bullying Jewish kids and actually physically harming Jewish kids and then breaking up the graduations and the whole colleges. And yet, Claudia, he won't send the marshals in. He won't invoke the Civil Rights Act of 1964. He won't talk about Title VI and defunding these colleges. I don't get it.
He's weak, he's feckless, and Joe Biden is running scared because guess what? This decision, this election could be decided by the swing states and will be. And Michigan, if he loses in these swing states where this kind of groundswell of this pro-Palestinian ceasefire movement is, Rashida Tlaib's district. Remember, Michigan was only decided by about 10,000 votes. This is all political. They don't care about these poor students, these Jewish students who are being intimidated and afraid to go to class and not being able to go to class. And where are the colleges and universities standing up for these students? It takes all of us, and I'm telling you, my Republican colleagues have been phenomenal in standing up to all these colleges. I have them all across my area. They're bringing a Hamas supporter and a self-proclaimed Hamas supporter into a college in my district coming up this week. We're trying to stop that event. But this is where Biden, it's all politics. He doesn't care about the people. And I think that's what it shows. And that's the stark contrast between Joe Biden and President Trump. President Trump is the man of steel. He is standing there taking unprecedented amount of abuse, whether it's lawfare, the continued impeachments. This has been going on since the day he came down the escalator. And he's going to continue to fight, and he's going to continue to get stronger and better. And that's why you saw that wonderful speech in Wisconsin this weekend. He's only getting better. And that's why the Democrats and Biden are running scared.
You know, Leo, let's go back. We were talking about this last night, and we've talked about this before. And I've been around a while. You've been around a while. That Civil Rights Act of 1964 is a sacred law, and it took squeezing blood out of rocks to get that done. You may recall that was LBJ at his finest. Republicans, Everett Dirksen, and a number of Republicans from the North voted for that Civil Rights Act. because the Dixiecrats from the South, the Democratic Southern, wouldn't vote for it in the Senate. And LBJ got it. And LBJ broke with his very dear friend, Richard Russell, Democrat of Georgia, who was the main guy in the Armed Services Committee. Yes, sir. That was a sacred law. And the Title VI about the federal funding should have been the weapon. That was the hammer put into that law. You would think, Leo, you would think that a self-respecting president, for heaven's sakes, a liberal president, right? This was a liberal initiative 50, 60 years ago, would be on the phone to these college campuses saying to this woman, Shafiq or whatever in Columbia, you don't stop this, you don't protect your campus, you don't throw them off, your federal funding for next year, FY25, is gone. That's how he should act as a president, Leo.
A+ in recollection of U.S. history. Let me add two other caveats. Before the Civil Rights Act of 1964, Eisenhower in 1957, he sent federal troops in Little Rock, Arkansas. 1962, President Kennedy sent in troops to allow black kids to go to the University of Alabama. There is something called the Equal Protection Law, and Joe Biden is not using the Equal Protection Law to protect Jewish Americans. Why? Congresswoman said it best. It's politics. It's all politics. It's the Michigan strategy. But the arsenal of the federal government is sitting there waiting to be utilized to protect Jewish American citizens. One final point. All those protesters, they got released, Larry. They got released from New York. And guess what? The protesters at UCLA, George Gascon, Mr. Progressive District Attorney, he released all of them. There is no deterrent on the state level. Oh, Democrat states, New York and California. We need federal intervention, and it won't happen until Trump is elected.
Well, that's a good point. I am going to go to Claudia. No bail, no jail. Alvin Bragg. Actually, Andrew Cuomo signed the law. Mark Simone reminded me of this the other night on this set. But you know what? It's a great point. Leo's last sentence there, which will live in history, he said, if the state and local won't go after it, it's up to the federal people to go after it. And the federal people under Joe Biden and Merrick Garland, who reminds us that his family were Holocaust killed in the Holocaust, okay? So they won't do it at the federal level. They won't do it at the state and local level. I guess, I don't know. It means nobody's going to do it. That's what's going to happen here. And they'll get off scot-free. And Claudia, my last little thing here, half of them weren't even part of the Columbia or CCNY or whoever. They weren't even part of the, the pokey was filled with outsiders. You know what I mean? No bread and water for outsiders. I don't know. Claudia, New York's more insane than even I thought. And I've been living here almost 50 years on and off, except for a few insane trips to Washington.
It's the criminal justice so-called reforms. They reward criminal behavior and they work against victims. And that's why you're seeing the New York PD, great group of people. Our police across this state are fantastic. Their hands are tied. They can't enforce the law. They can't maintain any kind of order because of the laws and the prioritization by our left-wing one-party rule state in Albany. And they've been just eroding our ability to be secure and to be safe. And that's why we need a federal government to stand in and to help us. That's why people in New York have left in droves, Larry. We have the highest outmigration of any state in the country. And a lot of it is not just the economy. It is the crime, the inability of the police to keep us safe. I have done law enforcement panels across this state and my district, and everyone is singing from the same hymnal. It is our criminal justice laws in New York that are making us unsafe. The border makes it worse. The anti-Semitism that you're seeing that's being tolerated at the universities, tolerated by these pro-Hamas agitators that are coming in using and bypassing our federal taxation laws. They want to tax us all. God, I hope we get the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, but they're letting these people with dark money super PACs coming in and bypassing and using our vehicles, such as 501c3s, 501c4s, you know all the deal, and they're using that to disrupt students, to spread propaganda, and make our communities unsafe. This is about security and our economy. Those are the huge issues. Everything else falls in place. place, whether all the things you talk about, Larry, energy, prosperity, all those things are tied to this. Trump is going to solve these problems for us. Let's just get him elected. Let's keep the House. Let's keep the Senate. And let's talk about bringing back the America that we once knew.
You two are great guests. I really appreciate it. Sorry for the interruption, but we heard the president speak. Congressman Claudia Tenney, thank you. Leo Terrell, terrific stuff.